Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. Happy Thursday. We're back at you one more again for another episode. Really looking forward to this episode and definitely looking forward to the end of the week. Tomorrow is Friday, so that means the weekend is right around the corner. I hope y'all having a wonderful day today. I know I am, and I'm ready to get into the show. But before we get into the show, first things first, if you're new in the chat, please hit that subscribe button. Everybody in the chat, hit that like button and definitely hit that notification bell if you haven't hit that notification bell already. The replay for this will be on all major podcast platforms, so make sure you go check that out. Please rate, review, subscribe. It really helps us out. Any kind of support you can provide, I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. Speaking of support, if you're involved in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, please make sure you are supporting U.S. Art and U.S. Art Florida. No matter if you're in Florida or not, support U.S. Art Florida. It's free to get a membership. Membership matters because numbers count. There's strength in numbers, and definitely support financially if you can support U.S. Art Florida financially. Definitely support if you can support U.S. Art financially. Definitely support. And it's not just supporting those organizations, it's supporting this hobby, right? And it's supporting your right to keep these animals. It's always legislation, it's always powers working against us keeping these animals. So any kind of defense that we can have works better out for our favor. So definitely support. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I really appreciate all the early birds is out. Blue, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your support. And y'all go check out that Clutch Conversations promo because that's Dom doing the voiceover in that. And so that's dope. So go check that out. Definitely. The car was good. Shout out to wifey. Appreciate your support. Love you. Chris, what's good, bro? Thanks for coming out. Thank you for coming out. Blakers Pythons, what's good? What's good? Thanks for coming out. Constricted Connection, thanks for coming out. That's the homie. Looking forward to getting you on the show one day soon. Nameless Collector, thank you for coming out. Thank you for the support. Harold Hydrata, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Tammy, what's good? Thank you for coming out. Nicole, what's good? Says, yes, support U.S. Art. Thank you for coming out. Get these balls. Not these nuts, but these balls. Thank you for coming out. Bosa, what's up, homie? Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out. Tammy, what's up? Did I miss anybody? Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I really appreciate y'all coming out, showing love, showing support. Without further ado, we're going to get you to the guests. Tonight we got Jason and Cassie from Big Country Constrictors. So really looking forward to kicking it with them. So we're going to bring them to the stage right now. What's good? What's good?
Hi.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Good, good. Welcome to the show. Glad to have y'all on.
Glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So real quick, introduce yourself to everybody. Give us a little bit of info about your background. Tell us your origin story.
I'm Jason.
I'm Cassie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty much the brains of the operation, and
I kind of figured that now.
he cleans up the crap.
Yeah. I'm the rat man, the cleaner.
Yeah.
The brains.
Sometimes I got to get on him a little bit, like, hey, the rats need cleaning. Let's go. Okay, wrap that down. You got to get with it.
The rats not gonna clean themselves.
Exactly. That's your job.
They do not, for sure.
No, he started this business
about 2010. I got my first. When I was in college, I worked at a nature center in San Angelo.
Okay.
And, I wasn't a big snake person. Ended up getting the job, and the guy that was my boss said wanted to introduce me to snakes. So he started dragging a big army duffel bag across the room there, and I was kind of, what's in the bag here? And he said, if you can handle this snake, you can handle any snake. And he had a Burmese python in there.
Okay.
Hit the bag, and the big head came out and everything. And that was my introduction to snakes. So we've kind of scaled back on the size of ball pythons, but it's been interested in snakes for a long time now.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I jumped in like 6-7 years ago. So I've been in it since then. When I first got in it with him, I was a diehard, helped him out with the rat cleaning, took care of that by myself sometimes. And I'm retired from rat cleaning now.
No more rat cleaning for you?
Yeah. I put in a solid 4 years of rat cleaning, and now it's just ever so often.
Okay.
So when he needs extra help or it needs to be done quicker or something like that, I'll jump in. But otherwise, I pass that torch back to him.
Yeah, it's good to have that support though when you need it though. So
For sure.
you got to call
sure.
some helping hands. You know,
For
you got somebody
sure.
to call.
Yep.
Yeah. So we definitely both have our strengths and weaknesses, and it works together well.
So were you into snakes and stuff before that?
I have always just been a big time animal lover.
Okay.
So it's pretty much anything and everything aside from venomous. I'm really not into venomous. So we might have had to.
When she says anything and everything, it means pigs, horses, goats, chickens, turkeys, pigeons, snakes, rat, everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
We have a farm, so
Yes.
Okay, a farm.
I like for everything to be inside. I want my animals inside.
Okay. So what's your favorite species to work with?
Depends the day.
Depends on the day. Okay.
pigs. Hers is pigs.
I really love my potbellies. Yes. And they're so good and so smart and easy. So cute. But of course, like horses outside, absolutely love horses. I'm dying to have some capybaras, so that'll be interesting in the future.
Okay. So you say capybaras?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So forgive my ignorance. What are those?
Basically like giant rodents. They're super, super friendly, very smart, very chill, laid back. They do get on the larger side.
Okay.
My only holdback is you need a pretty good source of water. And so right where I am, I don't have a tank or anything like that very close. So as soon as that happens, I'll have a few capybaras.
So are you planning on keeping those as pets? Or are you planning on breeding? What's the plan with those?
Probably mostly pets, but who knows?
Everything we have seems to reproduce, so you know how that goes.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember we had got my daughter some hamsters one time. There was supposed to be 2 females, and probably like a month or so later, it was a whole litter in there, so it wasn't 2 females.
Yeah.
It was not 2 females.
And since I'm a science teacher, I enjoy having class pets and just teaching my students the real side of that and kind of what that looks like and what that care looks like. And they get excited and face their fears and get down to the nitty gritty because they're responsible for cleaning it up also. So
Okay, what grade do you teach?
4th, 5th, and 6th.
4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay,
Yes.
okay. And so they take like an active role in the upkeep and all of that. That's dope.
Yes, my 5th graders are my homeroom, and the agreement is if you want it, you've got to take care of it. Now, I oversee and make sure everything's done correctly, and I order the food and things like that. But yeah, and they love it.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope. That would be super dope. So, at what point did y'all like brand and become Big Country Constrictors, and what led to that brand name?
Excuse me. When I was in college, I was kind of like everybody else. I had corn snakes, king snakes, and 1 ball python. So that kind of led into my interest in ball pythons. And I got out of it and didn't actually get back in ball pythons till about 2010. My oldest daughter and I got them for something to do. And like it does for everybody, you start out with a few. Next thing you know, you got racks of them. So, and I don't think we actually came up with the name and everything until I think 2013. And then we were selling a few snakes and thought, well, it's probably the direction we need to go because it's just, how it is. It keeps growing. So.
Okay. So what projects were you working initially and how has that kind of changed?
Same story as everybody else, got a bunch of, we would go to Texas Reptile Expo back in the day and went to Arlington way early whenever that came on board and just picked up stuff we liked. Kind of got into clown pretty early, but here in the last several years, I guess the value of our projects has gone way up. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So did y'all do like what I've heard a lot of people do? So I feel like the one mistake I didn't make was I didn't purchase a whole bunch of males at first, but I feel like I made so many other mistakes that it's kind of like
Yeah.
cancel that out.
Yeah.
Did y'all buy a lot of males at first, or did y'all start with females? What that look like?
Kind of a mix. I think we probably started with more females, and kind of took the long route. I would bought single gene females, single gene males. I remember one of my first clutches. I compared a Mojave to a pinstripe, made a jigsaw, huge deal. Back in the day. And my mindset, obviously, towards when you get into a project now has changed as far as going uh, the het route versus the visual route and stuff like that. Of course, back then, we were learning like everything. You talk about making mistakes. I think I've done everything you can do, to mess up, and you just got to learn and try to not let it happen again, and keep on going.
Yeah, so speak to some of those. Like, what are some of the lessons you learned? Because I know when we jumped in 2020, it was a lot of information out there. And so I joke about making mistakes, and we did make mistakes, but then at the same time, we also had like a lot of resources to pull from too, because all the stuff was on the internet, different people in the community and stuff like that. So I imagine it was a little bit different. So speak to some of those learning lessons that you had back then.
I started out and did homemade racks. If I had to do it all over again, I would probably just paid for probably a little better quality rack, because I didn't make stuff like this. I can tell you that right now. So, and believe it or not, I had my snakes in the dining room, I think. And so it was just whatever temperature the house was, that's what temperature they were, just stuff that you probably, most people don't do, I would think, just didn't have a designated area for it. Temperatures probably weren't great and things like that. So just basic husbandry stuff that I had to learn the hard way,
So how did those temps affect your production? Like
I would make a handful of clutches a year. And looking back, it probably cut it in half, I imagine,
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. Because it got pretty cool at night and things like that, like way cooler than you'd want it to be. I would imagine it did cut production some.
Gotcha. What are some other lessons you learned through that process?
Snakes can get out of anything. Make sure you shut the drawer, just stuff like that,
I think little things is just little tips and tricks and navigating not only what is this the latest and greatest, but what works for me as well. And you have to take into consideration that what's working in California and Florida may not work in our area just because of different climate. And that, even though they're inside, that does impact things. So even tiny things, from the amount of times that we have to water to ensure that the snakes have water, is probably a lot different than a lot of other places. So we have to just watch out for that, and tips and tricks, and developing a routine so you're not killing yourself all the time trying to keep up with things and things are unorganized, so that, I've got to take care of this now so that it's not a problem in these next few days or weeks or whatever that looks like.
Yeah,
do y'all have any? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned buying a bunch of males at first. That is one lesson that I had to learn also is, you buy a male, you're excited about him, but he's one male and he may or may not do what you need him to do,
Yeah.
So you can start out with too many males, but you can also not have enough. So, trying to kind of finding that balance for what your projects are, what you're wanting to get out of your projects, what you're wanting to produce, and making sure you've got a backup male or two to get the job done if your main man isn't feeling it. So that was
I went through that last year.
Yeah,
because I got a decent amount of males. I got more than I had last year because I wanted to have some extra males, because I went through that last year. Like, I actually bought some older males just so I can kind of like speed up the process a little bit.
Right.
Not in the sense of not having patience, but just to really kind of recoup some of that lost time, because like last year I had like 2-3 males that just didn't do anything for me, right? And so like I was really looking forward to inserting them into some projects, and they just either wasn't ready, or they was like, I felt like they was ready, but they didn't breed. right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I wasn't expecting. Like I thought I probably had too many males because like I just went female, 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 and so I was expecting to spread those males a little thinner,
Right.
but they didn't go. And so like I ended up having one male that was like a beast. And so
Mm-hmm.
I ended up putting him to a lot of girls because he was just like a super beast and he never
Yeah.
went off food. He was always eating. He was gaining weight throughout the breeding season. So he sired a lot of clutches. And then towards the end, we got a older male too that we were able to bring out of quarantine and put him to some girls. And so he was able to sire some clutches. And we actually had two males like that that was able to get like some late locks. And then I
Yeah.
had another one that kind of matured through the process. Fortunately, my girls went like later in the season, and so that gave me a little bit of time to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But this year I got more males, but still like a couple of males that I want to use. I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to go, but at least I got a backup this
Right. Oh yeah. The
Mhm.
backups are huge.
year. Yeah,
And
it's
I will
huge.
say one thing about us is when I came into the picture and he started kind of making it more of a priority, but not, I knew he wanted to make it a priority, but I think he was hesitant. So a couple of years ago, I kind of sat down with him and, this is important to you. So it needs to be moved to a priority. And not only, with that priority, it's not only your time, but also your finances and making plans for the future and what that looks like. And I think that's why we kind of made that jump from like kind of growing just like this to really being on the incline and making, a difference with what we're breeding, what we're purchasing, and what things end up looking like. So if I could go back, I think I would have sat him down and us spoken about that our first year together, so that we could have gotten a jump start on that.
Well, I know, I'm sure, I would think that a lot of people probably deal with maybe spouses that aren't very supportive or don't see things quite the way they do. And having somebody who, when you go to spend 4 or 5 figures on a snake, and they're like, "Yeah, do it, get it," that helps a lot. So I do
Hundred
appreciate
percent,
that.
a
It's
hundred percent.
huge.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't imagine doing this without my wife Takara's support because it would be difficult, right? So she helps out, like she helps with the cleaning. She's supportive of investing the money into it. She behind the scenes right now controlling the comments on the screen and
yeah,
whatnot. So I couldn't imagine doing this without her support. It would be a totally different experience.
it
Totally
would.
different.
It would not be near as fun for sure.
100%, 100%. So yeah, it's definitely great. Shout out to all the wifeys out there who
You
support.
bet.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So touch on the evolution of that mindset, right? So like what kind of like clicked to say, hey, we want to invest more, we want to put more into this so we can start going on that incline.
Well, social media is huge these days, and you just have so much exposure to what everybody else is doing. And of course, I'm like everybody else, watching Canova videos, Ozzy and RCR and all the guys, and what they're doing. And I think it just probably the desire to accelerate projects uh, played a big decision, and especially some of the males I got early on. If I got into the clown game with hets, um, but obviously visuals are going to get you ahead a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Visuals are more expensive though, and sometimes they're a lot more expensive. So probably just the desire to accelerate things faster, and everybody wants to see the results quickly. So um, I just decided, if we're gonna make it uh, reach the goals we want to reach, it's going to take some financial investment, and so that's kind of the route we went, and
Okay.
it's been good. So
And I
So
think
what go ahead.
us talking about things and navigating, okay, because there are always those top genes out there that are worth a little more. What is going to hold its value, what's going to mix well with what we already have, and navigating what that looks like and seeing what everyone else is doing. So we picked a few projects that we really wanted to invest in and bring in and get that mixed in with our stuff.
So talk about some of those powerhouse investments and what animals those were and how that's kind of changed your trajectory.
well, we're pretty heavy into the DG Clown game right now. that all started in 2015. I bought a Desert Ghost 66% het clown girl. Turns out best money I've ever spent. She proved 100% het. I got a clown het DG male out of her, the first clutch she ever laid.
Oh, nice.
But here recently in the last year or so, we picked up a spot nose chocolate double het male. And we're very fortunate to hit a chocolate Desert Ghost clown last year and some other whole back type animals. And an animal like that's just a game changer. It's just huge. Very, very, very fortunate. And so, and he was Desert Ghost chocolate DG clown male to boot. So, it doesn't get any better than that whenever but the key to it was I had a bunch of double het girls that were ready for this male. He was a proven breeder male when I got him, and I was able to put him to 3 or 4 females because the double recessives are a numbers game. And so you got to give yourself a chance to hit them. So that sometimes it takes a lot of chances to hit one of those things. So, but I would say that male in particular was a very, very good investment as it turns out.
So would you say the DG Clown project is kind of your premier project right now?
I would say that, yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Cass, I cut you off. You were about to say?
No, you're good. It was not this past NARBC, but I think it was a time or two before that I told him I need either Confusion or Stranger. I need a male, and it needs to be a visual clown, and it needs to have at least one other morph with it. And so he finally came through a little while ago. So we're hoping that guy finishes growing a little bit more and is ready to see the ladies.
Yeah, we bought a spot nose Confusion clown male. So
nice.
He's getting really close. So we've got some of these DG project girls that he's going to be hopefully.
How does he eat?
We'll have some.
Does he eat well?
Good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good. Okay. He's pushing 600 grams now. So
yeah.
He's getting close,
Okay.
So if the breeder gods are looking upon us, he will get the job done and not be nervous around the ladies.
I hope not. I hope he does it for you. May the odds guys be ever in your favor.
Yeah.
For sure. So speaking of Confusion, like that's one of the projects that I'm like real excited and stoked about. Like, so we picked up a male late last year. He was a late 2021 male, leopard, spot nose, Confusion, het clown male. And I was hoping he would be ready for this season, but for the longest, like he ate the smallest meals. Like he just like hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
He was just fancy with it. And so he was growing pretty slow, but Tuesday, he ate like a appropriately sized meal for the first time ever. I was like, okay. So maybe if some of those girls go later in the season, we maybe might get some action because he's about 4 something now. So I don't know how quickly he's gonna grow, but if he continues to consistently eat appropriately sized meals, he might put on enough weight and might be ready to go. Because from an age perspective, he should be ready to go. But size is the other piece I worry about.
Some of those males, I think age has a little more to do with it than size. I've got a blackhead Mojave clown male that, I mean, if you were to look at him, you wouldn't think he was very, very impressive stature-wise, but he will breed
lock something up.
So, and that's just age, because he certainly, we'd all want our males to be 1,000 grams and, pounding rats and all that, but the reality is they don't all eat and grow like that. So,
yeah. So, do you do it by weight? Like, do you say, hey, I want them to be a certain size, or you just really kind of like look at every snake as an individual and factor in like multiple criteria?
Yeah, I look at it as an individual, probably age more than anything. Of course, size is important from the perspective of breeding seasons can be long. We all know what happens with males. They get excited, they quit eating, they start losing weight. And if you have a male that's on the small size to begin with, you're kind of flirting with it a little bit there. Right. You don't have as much margin for error. If he loses 10% of his body weight, just a random number, that's a little different when you're 500 grams as it is if you're 1,500 grams. So
right.
I look at them by age. If they're producing plugs and they're eating well, they're going to give it a shot and see what happens. So
Gotcha. And that's the part that scares me. Like, I don't want to put a male that's kind of like flirting with that. If he goes off food,
right.
maybe we need to worry about it.
Mhm.
That's the part that scares me. So I just rather be safe than sorry. And so I'm gonna just wait. I mean, because he eats well, like he doesn't refuse meals. But like I said, well, he didn't refuse small meals,
Right.
but a larger meal, he was like, no, that's too much. But now he ate an appropriately sized meal like one time. We'll see if he consistently eats that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he eats well though. Like he was pounding everything we was giving him, but it had to be small.
Yeah.
Finger foods kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
So DG Clown Project. I saw y'all hatched a Batman het DG female.
We
was
did.
pretty dope. That was
Yeah,
pretty dope.
we had that was a DG clown to a leopard spot nose het clown girl. 5, how many eggs were there? 5?
Something like that. Yeah.
5 or 6 eggs, and got visual clown in every egg. It was craziness.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I mean, we ended up hitting 2 male Batmans, whatever, het DG and a female and a couple of spot nose and then a regular. It was a nice clutch. So
Yeah.
Nice. So what direction are y'all trying to go with the DG Clown Project? Like, is there a specific snake you're trying to hit that you want to speak to? Or
no,
just
not
make
really.
some dope combos?
Yeah, I think I want to see some of the dark combos in DG Clown.
Okay.
Maybe along the lines of Black Pastel and some of the darker combos. We've got cinnamon in it. We've got leopard in it. We've got may have blackhead. I just had a DG het clown girl that had her post ovulation shed yesterday, and she's either going to be spot nose chocolate stuff or she's going to be blackhead clown combo stuff. So either way, I'll be happy with it. But I just kind of want to see what some of the dark combos look like.
Gotcha.
And stacking a few of those dark genes on top of each other to make a DG version, see what it looks like.
Gotcha. So are the two of you always aligned on which way you should go with your projects or not?
No.
So talk about a project y'all disagree on.
In the near future or way back when?
Both. Let's do both.
When we first got together, I'm not gonna lie, I called it. I knew Spider was gonna be on the outs, and so I called it early, and he stuck with Spider a little bit longer. So I will say I won that battle.
It took her a while to convince me we needed to jump in there for the visual confusion clown stuff.
Gotcha.
Those things they're not exactly cheap. So,
no.
But it's all about, in my opinion, when you're buying males, if you got girls to go with them whenever they're ready, that's a totally different game than buying one and then having to wait 3 years for a female to grow up to breed to him. So
y'all got some nice girls to put him to.
Yeah, we try to have them ready and get that return on the investment as quickly as possible. So
I had to prod him on that and hound him.
It was one of those purchases where I was like, then you get the snake, and it comes, you go to FedEx, you pick him up, you pull him out of the bag, and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I did that.
That's what's up. That's what's
there was
up.
a little pressure when he told me about that one that was being offered up. I was like, get it.
Where'd y'all pick it up from again?
Hang on just 1 second. Let me see the.
Well, and then there's one. I have always loved Black Pastel.
Okay, I love Black Pastel.
Yeah, it's been in the recent future that they kind of got up a little bit because they saw it paired with a few things and kind of gave it a renewed sense of what it could do.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, years ago, I finally got him to get me a Black Pastel het clown, and it was supposed to be a female. It was not. And so it just kind of went downhill, and that didn't work out. So about 2 years ago, I got him to get me another female, and she has Orange Dream in her. So as of right now, she was a cheaper snake, but I thought I saw a lot of potential in her, especially with what we have. So I'm excited to see what she produces.
Okay.
You can put a DG clown male with about any female and make some increase your value there. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
She's gonna add to it. So
if I could have her go to either the chocolate DG clown mail or our confusion, I would be very pleased.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be real nice. So did you figure out where you got the confusion?
Sean from
You just looked.
I just looked. I'm having a hard time pronouncing the name here.
Oh. And then the other thing, when he buys Inchy stuff, I kind of just roll my eyes. I'm not a huge fan of Inchy.
Oh man, you don't like Inchy? I love Inchy.
It's okay, but I don't feel like it mixes well with our patterns that we have going on.
Okay.
So I'm like,
And you said y'all were thinking about getting into Stranger, or have you made a pickup yet?
We have not.
It was either Confusion or Stranger. I felt
it was Confusion or Stranger. Okay.
Yes.
I picked that mail up from Sean at Astro Pythons.
Okay.
So he's got, if you like Confusion clown stuff, he's got it going on now. I think he made a mahogany version, and he made he's got some cool stuff.
You'll have to check those out. Yeah, I like Inchy though. I'm not gonna lie. I do like Inchy. I'm not gonna lie. Gershon, who in the chat now, he big on Inchy too.
What else? Oh, I've been begging him to get out of Pieds. Pieds are pretty, but I'm just not interested. So
we're gonna add him to the DG Clown project.
So, that's what I plan on doing too.
No, not about it.
Well, we hit clown heavy for a long time. In fact, I referenced earlier watching Canova videos and Ozzy and all that. And, way back when, before I ever had any visual clowns, I'd watch one of the Kabelka JKR videos. And he said, those visual girls are gold. And I went 4, 5, 6 years and never sold a female clown I hatched ever. I kept them all. So, which now, I've got options.
Yeah.
And probably did I miss out on some sales? Probably, because people are always wanting female clowns, and I just kept them, and now I've got a rack full of breeder clown combos, which I'm glad I have now. So,
so you took more of a Will approach, like a Will Moreau approach.
Yeah. So we're letting a few of those clown girls go these days, but can't keep everything. Even if you want to.
Especially space won't allow it.
Not in a 10 by 12.
Space won't allow it.
No.
So how many snakes y'all got? Like how many breeders?
About 60. Excuse me, probably 65 females.
Okay.
And I'm looking at a wall of 4 baby racks right now. They're not full, but there's probably, I don't know, 125 or 30 snakes in here. We're not huge by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Yeah.
At all. So.
Okay. And clown, DG, and Pied, those are only 3 recessives, or y'all working something else too?
We've got hypo, we've got clown, DG, Pied, obviously.
Lavender albino.
Lavender. I just hatched a blackhead double het lav clown clutch out. Those are pretty cool. And we've looked at getting into ultramel and some other things there. So we just hadn't pulled the trigger on it yet. But
oh yeah, Team Ultramel. You sound like a man of the cloth.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but those are the same projects that I'm in. Clown, Desert Ghost, Hypo, Ultramel, and Pied. And I'm probably reduce some of the Pied stuff that I got. I'm actually like in the process of working out a trade for one of my Pied girls because I want to reduce some of my Pied stuff. I do still want to work it in like double recessive projects and triple recessive projects as well. But I don't want to have like a ton of Pied stuff just because I like the pattern and I like having like a large canvas to work with, if that makes sense.
You got to be careful with Pieds, what you put in there, because some, fire tends to not be high white, to be high pattern rather.
Right.
And like you said, or if you want to see rewards of your efforts there, you need pattern, in my opinion, on a pied. So
Yeah, and so
you
you
know,
gotta have like inchy or something in there that it
hmm
brings back the pattern,
yeah,
and then it makes, in my opinion, it makes IDing even more challenging with a lot of pied
can
combos.
for
I mean, it's
sure.
already challenging, just in and of itself, but then like you just add one more thing to it. So, but I
Yeah,
like pies. Don't get me wrong, and like they're visually stunning, right? So like someone who has like no concept of the hobby, when they see a pied, even if they don't like snakes, they kind of be like,
oh yeah,
whoa,
for sure.
whoa,
Yep.
just because of how they look. Like, and so that's dope. I do like pods, and I'm not hating on pod. I love pod. We're working pod. We're gonna continue working pod, but I'm not gonna have it in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are
And
you? Go ahead.
if we're talking about codoms, we have some gravel stuff, and that's
Okay.
looking really neat and seems like it has a lot of potential. Gravel is working really well with leopard, so I'm
Yeah.
eager to see as we go, what that can kind of turn into.
So is all of your gravel stuff like gravel, or do you have some stuff that's like maybe yellow belly, maybe gravel? It's all gravel.
Yeah, we went with a super gravel male, so
Gotcha. Gotcha.
for that very reason.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So
I don't.
speaking of that, how do y'all feel about the genetic testing and where that's going to take the game?
Um, I think it's going to shortcut a lot of projects. I would imagine. I mean, it has to because there's no more guesswork on some of these projects. You're not holding them back for 3 years to grow them up and raise them. Um, well, I sent off 5 sheds. I haven't got the results back yet, so I'm kind of eager to see how that works out. Uh, but when you've got a male like mine that's a double het male, and you can breed them to a double het female, you can get those babies tested and figure it out that way instead of doing the process. There's obviously pros and cons. Excuse me. So, though, like it or not, it's the way of the future. It looks like so.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. So I know you said you're doing some testing now, but have you like put a whole bunch of deep thought into where how it's going to change y'all strategy? Have y'all put a bunch of thought into that and talked about it?
well, I was actually thinking about that today. Uh, if it makes, in my opinion, my het male more valuable now, and not more valuable. It allows me to hang on to him longer because now, even though he's a het, you can still tell which babies you need to keep and which ones you don't.
Right.
As opposed to having to have that visual male, and then there's no doubt everything's 100%. You won't know right out of the egg, but you will shortly thereafter. So,
Right.
I think it does change it from that perspective.
Do you think it will make y'all more willing to take on like some long shot odds, like more long shot odds?
I don't think it'll impact those more higher valued ones just because we want to be secure in that. Like he said, we've moved to more visual, so we don't have to worry about those types of things. But it may be like, you want to see what happens if we put this one with this one and see if something cool could, come out of it, and maybe we'll hit the odds and that'll be neat. Because otherwise I think things like that, but I don't know how many true risks we will take because we
I was
are
talking with some
smaller.
people.
Yeah.
You said because y'all are smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking with some people at Tinley, and they were saying like they might be willing to do like some more riskier pairings or take some longer shots just because they can get it tested and see what they hit versus hitting
Having to
stuff,
wait.
having to grow it up, wait, and all of that, and not knowing what they had. So they said they might take some longer shots, right?
Yeah.
I can definitely see a benefit as far as somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of space. You can take those, like you said, you can take those longer shots, handpick a couple of snakes that end up, because if you're looking at the head to head or double head to double head or triple head to triple head, the likelihood of you out of a 10 egg clutch having 8 or 9 of them are all 100% double head is probably not going to happen. So you can get them tested, have one holdback or 2 holdbacks out of that, and then move the rest of them on. So I could see that being a benefit also.
Okay. Speaking of triple heads, did you say y'all were working triples?
We will. I've got some hypo girls that will be breeding some desert ghost clowns too. I actually did a desert ghost clown to a pastel hypo chocolate het desert ghost girl, and in my mind I was going to have a big clutch of these triple het girls and whatnot, and I got 0 girls. So
0 girls.
I
Oh
did get a
man.
cool chocolate triple het male, but sometimes that's the odds of,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do some triple het pairings.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I got a clutch that I'm like super anticipating. I need to stop speaking on it. But I'm hoping I hit a whole bunch of girls. So we put a super inchy lesser hypo female to an orange dream inchy black pastel fire clown.
Oh wow.
And so everything's either gonna be super inchy or black pastel inchy, and then all the other codoms in the mix,
Oh.
and then obviously double head hypo clown. I'm hoping that it's female heavy because I
Hopefully it
need
will
that.
be. Oh
I
yeah.
hope so. I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. But then the other day, right before Tinley, we hit a clutch that was like 1.6. And I was like, no, don't use up all my female luck on
Yeah.
this clutch.
Yeah.
Like I'd have been good with like a 3-4 or 4-3. I need those kind of odds on this clutch, but we'll see what happens. Happens. Yeah. And so hypo DG clown, any other triples you're gonna work?
You're gonna do it with lab?
We might do it with lab. I don't know. We'll see if I can hit a double visual lavender clown combo male. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I think Will Morris hit a lavender desert ghost, I believe.
Oh wow.
I think, or one.
I'm gonna have to go look that one up.
Lavender DG, yeah. So kind of wait and see what all that looks like. I'm not sure how easy that would be to ID. A double visual lav DG, so I don't like not being able to ID stuff. So
yeah.
Sometimes it's just part of it, though, especially when you start stacking genes.
So somebody earlier in the chat asked to see one of your snakes. I think it was, and I missed it at the time, or I meant to go back to it then. I think it was a chocolate DG.
Okay.
Chocolate DG clown, maybe.
Okay.
That's what it was. Put you on the big screen.
I don't know. Where's the camera at in this
Right
thing?
there, up top.
Oh, that's real nice.
Yeah, I like to joke because it looks like the chocolate is melting off of her. See right there, you can see. Here, open up your hand. See?
Oh, yeah.
And big time right there.
That is nice. Do y'all know what y'all gonna put to her when she get up to size yet? Or
Well,
still
this
TBD?
one's a male.
Oh, that's the male? Okay.
Yeah,
that's the male.
male.
Okay.
So lots of things.
Lots of things. Yeah, he getting some work.
Yes. Yeah.
And you want to show that confusion spot nose clown?
Yeah. He is in that tub right there that's not marked, I believe.
See, his belly's really cool.
That is insane.
Yeah.
He's got some nice size to him too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Definitely not camera shy.
That's one we need to get Yellow Belly into. Yellow Belly and Spot Nose are nice.
Yeah, like it just go crazy. Yellow belly and spot nose. I love those combos. Like that flaming is just insane, and it's just real intense with the color.
And that was one of those combos. We made a Spot Nose Yellow Belly clown this year for the first time, and it's, you see a Spot Nose clown in the egg, and you're like, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? No, when you hit one, yeah, it's an obvious combo to me.
Yeah, those are really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Even like spot nose and yellow belly, like without like the visual clown, is really nice. It's nice.
It's always nice to get like yellow belly, orange dream, things like that in there to just kind of enhance your project of what you're putting with it.
100%. 100%. So y'all are vending shows too, right? Y'all do Arlington and y'all do any other shows?
We've done some Repticons, but it's been 2 or 3 years. Probably we'll just end up for the foreseeable future doing the Arlington NRABC shows. We thought about going up to, where do they have the other one? St. Louis. There's one in St. Louis.
Yeah, well, in St. Louis they got Tinley. I think it's one on
Schaumburg.
Schaumburg, that's right.
So we've thought about going up to St. Louis. I think that's a new one. I think it's only happened once or twice. So
okay,
it might be nice to get in on that one before it gets, like the rest of the NRIBCs where it's huge, So
yeah, I want to check out Arlington.
Yeah, come on down.
For sure.
There's one I've heard about in Daytona.
Daytona's nice. I go to that one every year. Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
y'all should come over.
Yeah, we've been going to Arlington for several years, and I can remember when we first started trying to get into clown. We were talking about this in last month when we were there. The number of clowns and clown combos at Arlington, that just mind-boggling. And it's been it's probably 2013, 14, 15, something like that. We were trying to get into clowns. I can't remember exact date. Excuse me. We went to Arlington and there wasn't but a handful of clowns in the whole show. So it's just, the
mushroom.
Yeah, it's the way it's changed and everybody's making cool stuff. It's just nice to go see.
Yeah, Daytona is dope too. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So Daytona, we went to that like 3 years in a row, and up until Tinley, that was like the biggest show we had went to. That was the only big show, right, that we had gone to. Tinley was nicer than Daytona. Like, it was definitely nicer than Daytona, but Daytona is tight too. I mean, and then you're right there on the beach too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely dope. We're gonna go to Daytona every year. That's like two hours away from us. So we'll definitely be in Daytona every year. But I want to check out Arlington. I want to get out there. So is it like super packed in Arlington? Because it was super packed in Tinley. Like it was like he was like bumping into people all the time. It's not like that in Daytona because it's like the layout is like more spaced out. And so it's like a lot more room to walk and stuff like that. It was a bunch of people. Like the line was like outside around the building. It was crazy. And that was like 9 in the morning, 8 something in the morning. Like, so it was crazy packed. But in Tinley, it was just like a different animal because like everybody was kind of like packed up on each other because of the room being smaller.
Sorry, we're reading the comment because it started off with Jason.
Okay.
Sounds
Jason, I'm sending you this yellow belly spot nose double hit DG clown or orange dream yellow belly spot nose double hit DG clown. Shout out to Keisha.
We vote yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I've heard good things about Daytona. I would say with Arlington, it kind of comes in waves and a little bit depends on your location and things like that. I think I've heard different opinions. I didn't think this past show in Arlington was super busy, but I heard other people saying they thought it had a lot of people. So maybe it's just what show I'm remembering previously. I'm remembering ones before 2020. So with that, there was some super packed ones. And I mean, you're just kind of standing there like this. So we'll see. And there was some parking lot issues this past time. So hopefully for the future, we won't run into that.
Gotcha. I know for Daytona, it's gotten like busier. So the first time we went, it was 2020 and it was busy. It was real busy. But I mean, obviously that was like the first COVID year. And so it wasn't quite as many people there. And then like some people pulled out. Some people had like challenges with traveling and stuff like that. So it wasn't quite as busy. 2021, it got a little bit busier than 2022. Like it was crazy. They actually had like 2 rooms open. So it was a lot busier this year than it had been before.
Very neat. And what's that one called again?
It's NRBE. So the National Reptile Breeders Expo.
That's right. Yeah.
So talk about, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, talk about kind of like y'all's planning process and how you go about mapping out your projects.
Go. Um, well, we got very fortunate and hatched obviously some DG clown males, and so your initial impulse there is just double head DG clown everything, So
Yeah.
But then you get to looking at what other people are producing and things like that, and that kind of narrows your focus down. Like I said, we're trying to go for some dark stuff. We hadn't seen a lot of that out there. There's been lots of pastel DG clowns made. I've seen Fire. I've seen Yellow Belly. I've seen some other things, but there hadn't been a whole lot of dark things. So a lot of our decision making is trying to come up with, something we hadn't seen yet, and be able to take something to Arlington that other people hadn't seen too. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. So that's going to narrow down a lot what, as far as females that you're going to put your males with. It's going to keep it, because it's always, in my opinion, when you're doing a project, it's easier to just work with the genes you want in that project versus, I'll get a pastel, I'll breed it to a pastel girl, and she's got Orange Dream and she's got this and that in there. I probably won't hit any pastels, but we know how that works.
So you're gonna hit all pastels.
Yeah, every time if you try not to hit a gene, you're gonna hit that gene. So that's kind of our focus, is decide specifically what we want to see and just use those genes. So you're not trying to, because invariably you're gonna the odds are you're gonna get what you weren't necessarily shooting to get. So
100%.
So he does the initial mapping and I do the revise and edit.
Yeah.
It's got to go through approvals. There's levels to this.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. So there's
that's good checks and balances, though.
Exactly. There's that. And then there are some clown females that we have quite a few of a certain codon, whether it be like leopard or spot nose or something like that. So we kind of try to spread the wealth on that so that we don't have so many of essentially almost the same thing, or have a risk at having so many of the same thing.
Gotcha. And so do y'all set like goals for each year saying, hey, I want to hit X amount of clutches, or I want to have this many holdbacks, or do y'all just kind of like play it by ear?
Kind of take it as it comes. I don't, we'll do our pairings hoping for holdbacks. And like I said, I used to hold back everything that I even thought I might need, but that rapidly gets out of hand, especially when you can't expand room wise. So, let me go close that door real quick. Sorry, I've got a dog barking in the background. I'm going to close the door real quick.
That's all good.
Yes, we have.
What kind of dog?
Those two that are barking are actually blue lacies, which is the Texas state dog. And there are hunting dogs. We use them for tracking. Like when we shoot a deer, you give the deer time to go down. And then so we go get the dogs and let them loose and they find the deer.
They go find it? That's dope.
Yes.
That's dope. So did y'all train them yourselves or what?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So if you've ever been out hunting, it's not a good time to lose a deer or have to be the one trekking around trying to find it. So much easier with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pig wanted in too, but she had to stay outside.
Yes.
It was one of the potbelly pigs?
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's so good. I have two of them and they have completely different personalities. She's really good. She minds well. She has her routine in the house, but she's noisy. She makes a lot of noise, from screams to grunts. And then he is not. He just has some sweet, low grunts. They're very soft, and just once in a while, he's very timid and sweet, and she's sassy.
All right, so I don't know a whole lot about pigs, but are y'all going to breed them? And if not, do y'all like take precautions to make sure they don't breed? Or y'all kind of like, if we pop up with some piglets, we pop up with some piglets?
I got both of them fixed. And funny story, I got the male first. And I was unsure if I was going to get him fixed until he started trying to breed the dog.
Aggressively breed.
Yes, aggressively, because at this time he was very heavy and he would charge her, and we felt kind of bad. So he got fixed. And so when I got the girl, I was iffy on getting her fixed, and then her hormones dropped. And so she got fixed the next day.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So-
not a good time.
So what happens like when her hormones drop? Do you mean like she kind of like got in heat or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
gotcha.
her hormones dropped, so her attitude. So if you think of like teenage girls and their hormones, and you see what happens there, think of that with a pig that can scream.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm not even exaggerating.
So she went from this little piggy to Miss Piggy, and she was just wilding out.
Yeah.
I mean, walking through the house just screaming as loud as she could. So yeah, not dealing with that.
Gotcha. Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah. I forgot what we was talking about before we got on the pigs, but that was kind of interesting. That was very interesting.
Oh yeah, we got
What were we talking about?
How we plan our projects.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we try to be specific. Like I said, a lot of what we do hinges on space also. So, and we're kind of getting to the point too where, when you're doing these Desert Ghost Clown clutches, there can be a lot of babies in there that you really want to keep. Visual Desert Ghost, Tech Clown stuff, and everything. And we're to the point now where we're trying to keep, the best stuff for ourselves, and that's usually only one or two animals just because of space. I'd love to keep every DG female and every clown female I make, but it just doesn't. It's not in the cards right now. So
the fact that, because I get super excited about the Batman project. I love that project. I don't want to just like make Batman, but I want to like add like doubles and triples onto the Batman project and like go next level with it. But the fact that y'all got a Batman DG that's on the market, a Batman head DG that's on the market, and y'all holding back y'all best stuff, that speaks volume.
Yeah. Well, that was the first clutch of Batman. The first time we ever hit a Batman was in that clutch right there. We've had the stuff to make them before and just missed. So you talk about using up all your luck. I hope I didn't use up all my luck in that one clutch, because it was. Whenever you're cutting those eggs and you're like, it's a visual to hit, and you're like, I hope we get a couple of clowns. First one clown, second one clown. Well, by the time we got to the end, we couldn't believe it. It was just one of those things.
100% clowns.
And which kind of made up for it. We had the spot nose chocolate double het male to a Desert Ghost het clown girl, had 13 eggs, 0 clowns in the clutch.
Oh man!
So it can go either way,
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. But fortunately, those visual DGs are just as cool. So.
Oh yeah.
They're very cool.
Yeah, that's not a bad problem to have.
No, not at all.
You got chocolate and spot nose in every one of them, either chocolate or spot nose.
Yeah, that's nice too. Because like I said, I don't like to guess on my IDs.
Yeah, and that make it easy. Either chocolate or spot nose.
Yep.
That's cool. That's super cool.
I do think there's another area we balance out, because he goes heavy on the holdback, and I can lean more towards selling and reinvesting into something else. So we kind of help balance each other out with that, and navigating what we truly should keep and what we should let go, and what the future looks like.
Okay, so we got like a Will and Justin in the same house, because Justin is more sell it and go buy something else that you really, really need.
Yeah, that's his advice. If you'll watch some of his videos, is if you can get it somewhere else, sell it.
Yeah.
If it's one of a kind and you can't buy another one, keep it. So that pretty much tells you how much you're going to be selling right there. Because I'm not making a whole lot of stuff that I can't buy elsewhere. When you get right down to it. So.
Right.
Did you just agree with me?
Yeah.
Can you start calling me?
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Can you start calling me Mini Justin?
Yeah.
Justina.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like with me, I'm gonna probably do like a mix. because it's probably going to be some. Well, not even probably. I know it's going to be some stuff that I make that I could get from somewhere else. But I'm still keep it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it'll have to be a balance though.
yeah.
But
You
the
sound a
good
little
limiting
sentimental.
factor. Say again.
You sound a little sentimental.
I mean, part of it is sentimental, but then part of it is like I can use it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
making something better than like the parents.
Right.
Like assuming I actually hit good odds for like whatever the pairing is. Like I just made an animal that's better than the parents, and it works for like my project going
Yeah.
forward. So I might as well keep it if it
Yep.
fits in my project. If it doesn't fit in my project, then obviously
Yeah,
sell
for
it.
sure.
But it'll be some stuff that I make that I can get elsewhere that I'll still keep.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a balance. It just really kind of depends on the animal.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take a lot of discipline to, when you're early on when you start out, you want to keep everything that looks cool. And it does take some discipline to think, that thing looks really cool, but like you said, it doesn't work with what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to let it go and let it do some work for somebody else. Even though it's a spectacular animal, it just doesn't go, doesn't go. Pastel desert ghost clowns are awesome, but that's not really the direction we're going in. So, but
That make perfect sense. Perfect sense. And then space is also the other limiting factor, right?
it is.
So,
It is.
then it's a lot of mouths to feed. Y'all breed y'all's own rodents, right?
We do, yeah.
How many colonies are you running? Like you're feeding 100% of your snakes with
Yeah.
what you breed, or okay?
Yeah. And I've bought frozen thawed off and on over the years and raised some and done all, everything that under the sun, it seems like. But when you get down to it, it's just easier to raise your own as far as I'm concerned. And it is. You hear people say all the time they spend more time with rats and snakes. And that's true. We're small enough, though, that I can go in there and get that knocked out on a Saturday. The rat cleaning part, Saturday morning, 2 or 3, 4 hours, whatever, and be done with it for a week or however long. Of course, a lot of that depends on the weather. During hot weather, it doesn't last as long as it does during cool weather. As
Right.
far as, smells and all that, and they drink a lot more during hot weather, so they pee a lot more and all that good stuff. So
Gotcha.
we're kind of getting to the time of year where some of that rat stuff's going to kind of slow down a little bit as far as cleaning as frequently just because of the weather's changing. So
Do you find that your production goes up in the cooler months?
it does, yeah. Oh yeah.
Is it substantial or is it just kind of like
Yeah, in fact,
marginal?
they're really, really getting in the mood right now. It's been cool nights, and then the days are in the 70s. So yeah, for sure. And when you're talking about lessons learned or mistakes made, when we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, first time I tried to breed rats, this is how naive I was. I just built a couple of homemade racks, put them in a shed in the middle of the summer, and in about an hour, I had a bunch of frozen thawed rats because, rats can't take the heat. If it gets up 90 degrees plus and there's not airflow, and once they start going, you can't bring them back. So that was a lesson learned right there. You got to do a little research and figure out what you're doing before you just buy a bunch of rats and put them in a shed and bake them, which is basically what I did. Good news is, put them in the freezer. You can feed them frozen thawed. They didn't go to waste, but it certainly didn't work out like I had it pictured in my mind.
Gotcha. So you just breed Norwegians?
Yes, and I have a couple of colonies of mice.
Okay. We breed ASFs. We got 5 colonies, so not enough to feed the collection, but
Right.
it supplements it. Thinking about stepping up production. I kind of want to step up production, but I gotta get that reviewed and approved.
Yeah.
But I would love to step up production, and that way our snakes just rely on the food that we produce primarily. Maybe pick up like some smaller like rats and stuff.
Yeah.
Non-holdbacks. Because that's kind of what I worry about. It's like feeding animals that I'm gonna sell ASFs, and then they're hooked on ASFs.
Yeah.
And then you sell them to somebody else, and then that person doesn't have a steady supply of ASFs, and so causing issues for them.
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to feed more of the colony because it's way not more of the colony, but more of the collection. It's way cheaper.
Well, too, I fed frozen thawed for a long time, and I kind of like feeding frozen thawed as far as, you're never going to have a rat jump out of the dang tub and get away in the room or all the things you got to deal with rats. But what I found is you'd run you'd be buying from Roden Pro or Big Cheese or wherever you buy from. Typically, when you need them, everybody else in the country is raising babies too, or whatever, and there's a shortage, and you don't want to be stuck into that. So that's kind of what got us into biting the bullet and going ahead and raising some rats.
And speaking of shortages, that's what we're running into right now. In my area, like the guy who I get them from, like I get a real good price. He takes care of us. They actually just went up, but even with them going up, it's better than like anybody else close. But right now, it's been a shortage, right? And so like 3 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago or so, because I go every Tuesday to pick them up. But like 2.5 weeks ago, they didn't have like a lot of the larger size rats to be. But it was fine because I had like a excess amount of ASFs, and so I was like, well, that actually worked out perfectly because I put my order in like I just texted him and whatnot, and so I wasn't home when I put my order in, so I just kind of texted him what I thought I needed, but I didn't factor in like all these ASFs that I had that I really needed to feed off, and so it actually worked out perfectly that week. Then the next week, it was the week that I took off feeding like the adults, and so I didn't really need anything that week, and so all I needed was like the smaller stuff, and so they had that, and I was good. But then the next week, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have the smaller stuff. They didn't have the larger stuff, and so like I was stuck that week, right? Because he got shorted on his order because he sourced it from a bunch of different rodent people, like 3 or 4 different rodent folks locally. And he's just kind of like the hub for it, right? So like he orders like thousands, really.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, like every week, he's like, he got like 5,000 rodents. He can't fill the order just because it's not enough. And like a few of the local guys who were breeding, they stopped breeding because prices was going up. Everybody wasn't ordering as much, and then also equipment and stuff. It was hard to get some of the equipment that they needed, and so they just kind of got out the game, and so that caused a shortage. It's picking back up now. I was able to get my order this week, but if I was breeding my own, or at least feeding most of my collection, then that wouldn't be an issue for us.
Yeah,
that's another reason because I don't want to be in a spot to where it's like that for like a month straight or 2 months straight or just however long. Like it worked out this time. It was fine because like I said, I skipped a week. I had excess 1 week and 1 week I missed, but at the end of the day, missing 1 week at the end of the day, it was probably better anyway.
Yeah.
They just got 2 weeks off from eating this week or this month or whatnot. But yeah, so definitely, I'm building my case. If y'all don't know what I'm doing, I'm building my case right now so I can get that review and approval.
Yeah.
If she can hear me, only thing, just agree that you don't have to clean them and you're good to go.
No, don't say that. Delete that footage.
Hey, I will say he brought it upon himself because I was helping until he told me he was going to start cleaning rats at 5 a.m. And I decided 5 a.m. and rats, not a good mix for me. 5 a.m. and coffee. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
5 a.m. and rats, I'm out.
Yeah, you got to do that during the summer here. I mean, it gets hot so fast.
Because it's so hot.
Flies, and you get up before daylight and get it done, and then it's done for the day or whatever. But I know that speaking of rat shortages, that's something I think a lot of people when they get into it and start producing a lot of snakes don't take into account about feeding everything, because it can 10 clutches don't sound like much, but if you have 6 eggs per clutch and you have all of a sudden you got 60 more mouths to feed, that's 6 more litters of rats a week you got to produce just to feed those 6 clutches you just made, so it does take some planning to pull that off.
Yeah.
That adds up real quick.
It's interesting on the shortages because my classroom pet is a bearded dragon. And so I order her food online, mealworms, superworms, horned worms, and they've been having some shortages for the past few months. So it's just checking back in and checking back in. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they was having shortages on that. Where do you order from?
Dubia.com.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Luckily, otherwise she can eat vegetables and things like that. But those mealworms and superworms are really good for her.
Gotcha. So y'all been in the game for a minute, so I'm sure y'all got like a good handle on like your take for the future. So in the current time as well. So talk about some of the strengths of the industry right now. Like, what do y'all think are some strong points of the industry? It's gonna be like a multi-part
Do you
question.
want me to start?
You can, yeah.
I think one of the biggest strengths in the industry right now is I feel like everybody is being a lot more open, especially with the platforms of what they're doing and what works and what they've worked through, and just sharing those ideas and really wanting to be a community. And we have the platforms to be able to support that type of community. So I think that's been great. And, you go to these shows and you meet some really neat people, but without the platforms, it makes it tougher to keep in contact with them and keep up with what they're doing. So with these types of things, I think it's really neat to meet people at the shows, get to see them in person, and then get to follow them on whatever platform, or vice versa. If you met them through a platform, whether it be Instagram or whatever, and then you go to a show and you kind of get to meet in person and navigate it through that. And I think you can really build not just business relationships, but like true friendships. There are some people that we enjoy being around and message with at different times, and not only support. Like, he runs mainly the Instagram page. When you see more of the funny stuff or cooler stuff, that's going to be me. But even some that have followed like my personal Instagram page that'll like stuff or congrats or whatever it is that have to do with personal life, not just, snake life. So I think that's probably one of the biggest positives that we have right now.
Anything to add on to that, Jason?
Well, I think just from an industry standpoint, just the number of people getting into it, the shows keep growing, and the more the merrier. We see people we know at Arlington, but you see you see more people that you've never seen before, and this is their first snake show, and you can tell the ones that never been to a snake show before because they're walking around and their eyes are that big around and they're looking at everything. It just blows their mind. And it is. It's. I don't look around much. I didn't look around much at Arlington because I know what's fixing to happen here. It's very, very easy when you go to a show like that if you're shopping, you got to go with a plan. If you don't,
100%.
If you don't have a plan and you're not in the right mental state, before you know it, I need that, I need that, I need that, and it's just easy to maybe invest in something you wouldn't normally do when you see it in person, that may not fit as well as something else and things like that. So, but I think, just the number of people, the number of vendors at the shows, and a huge strength is I have yet to meet anybody that hadn't been friendly, hasn't been open about what they're doing and give you information. It's always been like that for us since we've been in, but you hear some guys that have been in it longer talk about, it wasn't always that way. People didn't help. They weren't forthcoming with information. They weren't, if I have a problem, I got a list of people that I can get on Instagram or message or whatever and have an answer like that, because if you have a problem, chances are somebody has had that problem and got to deal with it, and they can help you out. So that's a huge positive. And I think that's a positive thing about vending shows is you get to put a name with a face, and the more times you go, the more people you meet, and it's just a good thing to have contacts.
Yeah, I heard it was a lot different back in the day.
Yeah, and it's nice to just be around like-minded people, because to the outside world, you go around and you're like, yeah, we breed snakes, and they're like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? So it's neat to kind of be around that community, and everybody's just excited, and you're excited for them and they're excited for you. So I enjoy that, and just the educational aspect of it. Here recently, he finally bought a, what is that called?
Ultrasound.
An ultrasound.
Okay. What kind you got? Which one did you get?
It's the KX 5600 from Breeder Circle.
No, I don't know. He's looking at me like I would know. He handled that one.
Let me look at mine.
But even with that, he was able to talk to some people from the reptile community and kind of help walk through the steps and things like that. Because a lot of times when you're sending that much money over whatever platform, you get a little nervous when it's someone you don't really know, not something you've really heard of. So
it's spelled Kaixin, Cakesin maybe. It was recommended. You know Mike from Insane Clowns?
Yeah.
Yeah, he recommended it to me. He's a good guy. He was all over that. He pressured me into getting an ultrasound. I was telling him about all these girls I got bowl wrap, and he's like, ultrasound them. I said, I can't ultrasound them. I don't have one. He said, what's the matter with you? So we're pretty excited about that. We got that done, and so that's probably going to change some of the ways we do things too. You know,
Okay.
maybe allow us to streamline a little bit as far as what we're doing.
So I didn't have an ultrasound the first year. This has been our second season breeding, but the first season we didn't have an ultrasound until like at the very end, and so we was able to ultrasound like one girl, and she got up to like 24, and then she actually had reabsorbed. But it was for me so much easier going through it this year, like with the ultrasound, because I knew like where they were.
Mm-hmm.
So like I could clearly see, hey, she's at 10, hey, she's at 18, hey, she's at 29, hey, she's at 32, she's at point of no return. It's gonna be all good. And so like for me, just because being new and not having my head wrapped around everything like completely, and just like questioning so many things that I saw in terms of like behavior and stuff like that. Like, is she bull rapping because she's bull rapping, or is she bull rapping because she's building and like stuff like that? So just having the ultrasound was just like it put my mind at ease. So I like it, yeah. And so I knew when to throw a male in there. Like right now, we got a banana clown female. She's the only girl that's really building right now. But we ultrasounded her, saw she was building, so we just went ahead and threw a male in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the part we're looking forward to. You get some of these males that are pretty valuable and you're really irreplaceable. I think that's going to come in clutch for us.
Yeah, because you can use them a lot more efficiently. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
At first we talked about getting an ultrasound, 2 or 3 years ago? And we ended up backing out of it because we were having such good luck with our clutches. We never ran into an issue of, we're not going to have very many clutches this year because it just didn't hit right. We did well, so we saw it in that way. But when you turn around that perspective of wearing out your good males and, being more efficient with that, not only those males, but also with our time, because that is a little timely, checking in and things like that and paying attention. So that worked out.
That's a great point. I never even thought about it from your time perspective, but yeah, that's a great point. Great point. Mm-hmm. So what about weaknesses? What are some weaknesses that you see, if you see any?
In the industry or
in the industry? Yeah. In the industry. What would you change?
What would I change? I do think, but this is in society as a whole, and the government and everything, that those bigger breeders are always going to have the upper hand. But I guess it's tough to gripe about things that are within the world. And like, if I can give an example, think about the genetic testing. Who's to say? Do we know that they're going in that exact order, or are those bigger breeders, no matter when they turn theirs in, they're automatically moved to the front of the line? So, how much is that going to impact us, and how much will that delay us? Because we sent in around 10. Who's to say they aren't sending in 100 or so? So with that, how long is that going to take? What does that rollout look like? And how much does that impact us? But again, I don't know if I can label that so much a weakness. It's just a sucky part of life.
Gotcha.
And middle class is rough.
I think that might be an issue with the genetic testing, because as far as cost goes, because I think right now they've got them priced $65 a test.
Yes, $65 and then
$120 and $30 for the panel. Well,
yeah.
It's probably going to be hard for me to justify sending in 100 sheds and $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 to get all these animals tested. I can see some people, it takes money to do that. It just takes money to do that. So I still think there's going to be possible hits. Some people aren't going to have a choice. They can't afford to get, lots every baby that comes out of a possible het clutch tested and things like that. So, it is what it is. We're going to go with it like everybody else is.
Do you think the price of testing will go down as they build economies of scale, or do you think the price will go up just like all other prices with
I
inflation?
think it's going to take other people doing the testing. There's going to have to be more people that are actually doing more companies uh, develop that are doing this testing, little competition, and
So increasing the
that's
supply side.
increasing the supply side. So I can't even imagine how many sheds they've got in since they made their announcement at Arlington. I mean, it's got to be thousands upon thousands. So,
I can
you know,
only imagine.
and I'm sure there's a learning curve for them, like it is for everything else. It's new to them. The volume's new, so it may take some time to get everything ironed out. But in the end, it is what it is. We're gonna go with it. So,
Got you. So, do y'all see any opportunities or threats for the industry?
well, there's always the legislation. I mean, always.
Yeah.
Look at the USARC stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're at. That's the biggest threat. And I don't know. It's probably from people who don't understand reptiles, don't care to understand reptiles.
100%.
We're just going to blanket cover everything just because we can, and that's why your little thing scrolling at the bottom of your screen there is important. You got to support USARC and do all that, because the only way you're going to get it is having everybody involved, everybody contributing.
100%. 100%.
So,
I do think if we dealt with venomous, I would be a little more nervous. But since we don't, I'm feeling pretty decent about legislature. But honestly, our government does some interesting things sometimes. So sometimes they'll throw you for a loop. So like what he said, it's very important to support that. And just from the shows alone, we've seen just insane amount of support. So I think we're definitely headed in the right direction with that.
Yeah, I think they raised it Tinley like 150K plus at the auction. And they raised a bunch of money in Daytona as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's hugely important, very important. All right, y'all. So before I let y'all get out of here and enjoy the rest of y'all night, I got some random questions for you. I'll let you cheat if you want, and y'all can combine on the answers, or y'all can answer them separately. So I'll start with the first one. So if you have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
You want me to go first?
You can.
Okay, number 1, Jesus, obviously. I think that one's kind of an easy choice. Number 2 would have to be someone from history that was just an epic fail. So like Benedict Arnold. I feel like dinner with him would be hilarious. And
what would you ask?
How did you think this would work out? Like, what did you have in your head thinking that you could play both sides and that would work out for you? Do you realize that you are now a coined phrase used on movies? I mean, just the ultimate traitor. So just someone like that, I would probably have to look through if it really got serious of just what epic fail in history would have to be. Because otherwise I want to say Hitler, but I think that if I had dinner with Hitler, I would probably go to prison. So I'll skip that because I can at least laugh at Benedict Arnold.
Gotcha.
And then the last one, that's a tough one. I guess jokingly, MJ from MJ Exotics. He likes to joke around that California tacos are better than Texas tacos. So I would have to prove to him
that prove him wrong.
Texas tacos are the way to go. I'm pretty serious about my tacos, so gotta let him know. So plus I like to talk trash anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think the obvious Jesus. I think family that's not here anymore would be huge. But I think I don't know that I have specific names, but I think mine would be selected from people who did world changing events, in history. I don't know, George Washington, people like that who formed our country and did things like that. I think it'd be cool to see, what they thought of their experience, and probably it would be cool to bring them back here and show them one of these little things here and everything we've got going on now, and just blow their mind. Yeah, that's what I'd do.
You know what you got to do? You got to have them try some California tacos and some Texas tacos, and let them decide.
Make the call,
if you can see the difference in our personalities, opposites attract in certain ways, where, he said family members, I did not. And he wanted, someone from history that did something really positive. And I'm like, I want the epic fail. It's going to be funny.
Give me the fuck ups.
Yeah. And then for the last one, another positive thing, and I'm choosing someone to. So.
Yeah, like technology would blow their mind. I mean, man, it blows my mind sometimes. Not to get too far off topic, but it blows my mind sometimes because growing up in the 80s and 90s, like we didn't have like any of this stuff, and it's just like changed so rapidly, and it's just like a normal everyday part of life. Like I don't know if y'all have ever seen like those videos that people making like here lately, where like parents or somebody older from like our generation asking like high school kids like, do you know what the yellow pages are?
Yeah.
Do you know what AOL is? What's a burnt CD? Stuff like that. And like these kids like have no concept of any of that stuff just because.
Yeah, and they've all got their cell phones. Like I've got a biology class, and the first thing they do when they come into class is put their phones up where I can see them, and it's like a separation anxiety for them, that they've got to set it down and not have it for 40 minutes or whatever we're in there for, 45 minutes. And I tell them all the time, it's changed the way I've taught class, because you don't memorize stuff like you used to, because never in their life will they ever be without any kind of information they want at the tips of their fingers anytime.
Right.
It's only going to increase for them. So, it's okay, I guess, but it's also, it's definitely made a generation of dependency, in my opinion, as far as on technology. And we're just as guilty as anybody. I checked that.
I was about to say I'm the same
47 times
in a lot of ways.
Hour, yeah.
Like phone numbers, like it's very few like new phone numbers that I memorized.
Yeah.
Just put you in the phone and now I got you.
Yeah, now
your name attached to it. But all like the phone numbers that I learned growing up, like even when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I still remember all those phone numbers.
Yeah, these kids here don't remember a rotary phone where you dialed one and wait for it to come back around and dial the next one. It's speed dial.
Yeah, because speaking of the rotary phone, like the mom had asked the kid on one of the videos I saw, "Do you know what a rotary phone is?" And he was like, what he said, a low budget flip phone.
Yeah,
an off-brand flip phone, I think is what he said. But yeah, like just no concept of like any of that old school stuff.
None, no concept.
All right, so next question. So if y'all could live anywhere in the world, where would that be and why?
If I could live anywhere, it would be somewhere where I can have a lot of land for all my animals, with plenty of barns and stables and my capybara tank, where it rains just enough to keep us all happy, but we're not soaking in mud, and there aren't any neighbors nearby.
Oh, yeah. I would agree with that. I'm a Texas guy. It'd be somewhere in Texas on a piece of land where you can go and not see anybody. No hurricanes, no tornadoes if I can help it, no natural disasters. I know that's easier said than done, but, we get some bad weather here. Obviously, we're not close to the coast, but there's give and take everywhere you live. If you live on the coast, you got to deal with hurricanes. You live out here, you got to deal with tornadoes and all kinds of things. It is what it is, but that's what I'd do, I think.
Yeah, we got hurricane season here, and you never know, like, because the hurricanes be so unpredictable. Like when they start out, they'll be projected one way, and you always got to prepare for the worst. Right?
Yeah,
hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Like this last one, Ian. Like, we were fortunate that it didn't hit us like directly on, but obviously a lot of people hit them directly on, and they were less fortunate. But you just never know how it's going to pan out. So, yeah.
Well, we were eating dinner with some guys from Florida when we were at Arlington, and that's what they said. We're going home to a hurricane. So I guess that was the last one you guys had.
Yeah, Ian was the last one.
So,
yeah.
So, yeah. I guess it could have always been worse, I would imagine, for sure. So.
All right. And so next one, if you had $10 million, how would you use it?
Buy my big piece of land.
I figured that was coming.
Oh, there you go. The majority of my money, I would say, would be reinvested so that doesn't run out.
Yeah.
I definitely hire a very professional in that area to make sure that it wouldn't run out. Because, around here, you can do a lot with a couple million, put the rest into investments and things like that, and have your money make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And just live off that investment income, really.
Mm-hmm. So what I had left over, a big old property and lots of animals, and it's pretty.
Yeah, make some good investments.
Yeah, and then that
tax
way,
treatment.
It can go on to my family and things like that.
True. Generational wealth. I love it. All right. So what's one question you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered it?
Oh, that's hard.
That's always the hardest one, according to the feedback I get.
Okay, if you haven't picked up on my personality, here it comes.
Let's go.
So who wears the pants? No, it's a good.
This is true, yeah.
It's a good team effort. We're a pretty good balance most of the time.
That's dope. Yeah, I can tell y'all have a lot of fun together.
Yeah. I pick on him. He takes it. It's good.
Yeah. It's a give-take relationship. Yeah.
Cool. It's been a pleasure having y'all.
Yes, sir.
Fun time chatting, learning a lot from you. Definitely, I love the vibes between the two of you. Glad I can get both of you on the show. It's been great. So tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Instagram is probably the easiest way. Big Country Constrictors. We have Facebook, but it's kind of
It's a little wonky. Since he runs that, the Facebook is connected to my personal page, so I don't really post to it so much. So if you need to message us on Facebook or something like that, great. But if you want to keep up with us and our projects, definitely Instagram's the way to go.
Yeah, I would say if somebody wants to get in touch with us, just message us on Instagram, and that'd be the surest way to do it.
And he typically responds rather quickly. And just like most of the snake community, we love learning and helping each other out, answering questions, or even just bouncing around ideas. So reach out. Let's chat.
Definitely. And Morph Market, too. That's another place.
Yes, Morph Market.
Yes.
Definitely check them out on Morph Market. In fact, the links to everything that I can find, I put them in the description of this video. So definitely, everybody, make sure y'all going to check them out. Thanks to everybody who came out tonight and showing the support for our guests and showing the support for the show. Really appreciate all the love that everybody shows every week. The recording of this episode will be available on all major podcast platforms, and you can see the recording on YouTube. I see somebody say normal couple. That's funny. But yeah, definitely y'all check that out. Again, appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the support. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace. Hang around for just a second.
You bet.
Was there something you wanted to say?
Come to Arlington in February. That's what I was going to say. Come to the NLRBC Arlington in February. Hang out with us.
I want to get to Arlington like ASAP. If it's not February, definitely in the fall one. But we'll see though. But yeah, definitely in the plans to get to Arlington. I can't wait.
Cool.
All right. So again, thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.
Thank you everybody for coming.